One of the many shocking things about the post office scandal was the way in which hundreds of sub-postmasters in desperate straits called the Horizon Computer Helpline, a contradiction in terms if ever there was one, over and over and over again, only to be told that, honestly, sir or madam, there really is no problem at all with the software. Tonight, for the first time, we hear from a call handler working on the Fujitsu helpline who has said he and his colleagues absolutely did know Horizon was a bad piece of software, but weren't allowed to tell the sub-postmasters this. They would have been hauled over the coals if they had. One former sub-postmaster who had called the helpline before he was sentenced to 3 years in jail broke down in tears when we showed him the interview. Everyone was crying out for help from the help desk, he told us.
Wednesday afternoon was the busiest the call centre ever was, back to back for hours. There was no sort of respite from the queuing calls.
You're listening to the voice that answered many sub-postmasters here on accounting day. Nate Orrow worked in the Fujitsu call centre, which dealt with their queries about Horizon.
The bulk of it was accounting discrepancies generally. I mean, probably genuinely more often than not, it was a mystery. It was difficult talking to people that some of the people were, as you can imagine, pretty desperate.
This is so helpful, thank you. Don't go away, stay with me till I've done it.
The ITV drama reconstructed the kind of inquiries Nate dealt with.
Oh my God. It's just doubled right in front of my eyes.
But he's the first call handler to do an interview about the reality.
Did you get people phoning up who were upset?
Yes, yeah. Regularly, yeah. We all were leaving Wednesdays feeling particularly stressed, and I do remember coming home and talking about it and just how bad things were.
And when Nate says bad, he also means the software.
We were under no illusion that the system wasn't good. We hated supporting it. It was a bad piece of software.
Were you allowed to say that to the sub-postmasters?
Of course not. No. I mean, if anybody ever made any kind of suggestion that was the case, you know, they'd be sort of dragged over the coals if the call was listened to.
If only management had listened, perhaps Harjinder Bhutoy wouldn't have been sentenced to 3 years in prison. He repeatedly phoned the call centre, but the post office wrongly claimed the fault was his, accusing him of stealing £200,000.
It's bad, isn't it? It's absolutely wrong. This is. I don't know what to say. Everyone was crying out for help with the help desk. I can't believe how it is. Maybe the just knew it, man. Maybe those lot look like thick idiots.
None of that hurt was caused by Nate, but he can't help the calls playing on his conscience.
It's difficult not to feel a level of sort of second-hand guilt because it's not my fault that it happened, but some of the information that I logged onto the system could have been used to prosecute, and that feels horrendous. I look back now and I'm just like, I genuinely wish I hadn't worked there.
Tonight, Fujitsu has repeated its apology to sub-postmasters and its promise to cooperate with the ongoing inquiry. If only the answers could have been found here on a phone call.
And Paul is here now. Listening to that, I suppose I think many people watching would have thought lots of things. One, I mean, you have to give Nate some credit for standing up and being counted, unlike virtually all, in fact, all his senior management, none of whom have, you know, offered to put themselves forward and say what really happened. But still, a reminder that this was a terrible scandal and we're nowhere near the end of it.
Yeah, and I think a reminder too, Tom, of why the scandal resonated so much with so many people, because we've all phoned a call centre and had that moment where you're almost sort of bashing the receiver against your head because you can't get through to someone sensible who can explain to you what is going on. We've all felt those moments where we're battling the system. Of course, for the sub-postmasters, the consequences were incredibly, incredibly grave of the particular battle that they were facing. And they're still battling on this evening. Alan Bates, one of the lead campaigners, of course, of the whole appeal in the courts, has said that he's had to turn down his offer of compensation, which finally came through yesterday, because it's a sixth of what he actually asked for. So he says that's paltry, it's derisory, he said to News at 10. And so tonight they're still battling for that compensation, which Fujitsu has said it will contribute to once the inquiry has concluded. That inquiry's taken years, it's still got a long way yet to run. And now we see that maybe the answers to all of this lay in a few short call logs in that Stevenage call centre.
OK, Paul, it was a fascinating interview. Thank you very much indeed.